The throne hall of Valara Prime pulsed with a living light, black crystal columns stretching so high they seemed to vanish into shadow. The air was thick with a subtle hum, the quiet heartbeat of a palace alive, breathing around the human who had never been here before. Captain Elias Dorn was dragged forward, battered and bloodied from battle, his Deathworlder armor scorched and dented, his wrists bound in searing energy cuffs. Each step he took echoed through the vast hall, drawing the eyes of thousands of alien courtiers, their expressions a mixture of curiosity, fear, and disbelief. At the center of the hall sat the alien queen, her throne carved from the same black crystal that formed the palace, pulsing faintly as though it had a life of its own. Her crown shimmered with molten silver, and her eyes carried both the weight of centuries and the sharpness of predatory intent. Her gaze fell upon Elias, cold and calculating, and her voice rippled through the chamber like rolling thunder. "You are a trespasser," she said. "Your fleet has dared cross into my dominion. By our laws, you should be nothing but ash beneath my daughter's feet. And yet..." Her gaze lingered on him, assessing every movement. "My daughter has asked otherwise." From the shadows emerged the alien princess, tall and radiant, her skin glowing faintly with bioluminescent patterns that shifted with every step. Her eyes locked onto Elias like twin stars, both luminous and dangerous, studying him in a way no human had ever experienced. The queen's words continued, "One night beside her, endure the night until dawn, and you will live. Fail, and she will consume you." A murmur swept through the hall at the mention of the night of hunger, a trial that no outsider had ever survived. Elias straightened his shoulders, the weight of his people, and the distant light of earth fueling his resolve. "I accept," he said, his voice steady despite the exhaustion and pain that tugged at him. The court erupted in shocked whispers, but the queen's lips curved in a cruel, approving smile. "So be it," she said. He was led through corridors that seemed to pulse with life, the walls themselves breathing, until he reached the chamber of the trial. The air was thick with an alien fragrance that clung to his skin and filled his lungs with every breath. There, standing at the center, was the princess, circling him like a predator assessing the strength of her prey. "You are not like the others," she murmured, her gaze never leaving him. "They wept, they begged, they screamed. You do not." "Begging never saved anyone," Elias replied. "Not where I come from." His voice, though weary, carried the steady confidence of a survivor. Her lips curved into a smile that was both admiration and challenge. "Good," she said softly. "Then perhaps this night will be interesting." The shadows shifted and the trial began. Phantom figures of his fallen crew appeared, their faces twisted with fear and despair. Voices whispered his name, calling him to surrender, to give in. Elias clenched his fists, grounding himself in the reality he knew. "Not real," he whispered. "Not real." He blocked and dodged attacks that seemed to come from nowhere, each strike testing both his body and his will. The princess watched, fascinated by his resilience. "You resist," she said. "Few do. You should break." "I've faced worse than this," Elias said, breathing hard. The princess lunged with claws glowing in alien light, striking faster than he could fully react. Pain seared across his body with every hit, but he endured. Hours passed like this, each one more brutal than the last, until he staggered, barely able to stand. She pinned him to the floor, her face inches from his. "Why do you not yield?" she whispered. "Because I survive," he replied through gritted teeth. "It's what humans do." For the first time, her eyes widened, a flicker of respect or perhaps curiosity breaking through the predator's mask. Hours bled into each other as the trial continued. Elias faced not only physical challenges but illusions meant to break his mind, shadows and whispers that clawed at his memories and sanity. Yet every time he faltered, he reminded himself of his fleet, of Earth, of the survival that defined his species. As dawn approached, the chamber twisted into chaos. Fire and shadow danced across the walls, claws reaching from the darkness, illusions clawing at his senses. Bloodied, exhausted, and nearly broken, Elias fell to his knees. The princess loomed over him, her eyes searching, fierce. "Yield," she whispered, "and the suffering ends." "And mercy." He has earned claim. Chaos erupted. Guards looked confused, courtiers shouted, and the queen's composure flickered. You dare, she demanded, to claim a human as consort. The princess lifted her chin, unyielding. He faced me, endured me, survived. He is consort by trial. Elias, still standing despite exhaustion, looked at her and saw not the predator who had hunted him through the night, but a being caught between duty, power, and an emotion he could not name. Her eyes softened, a rare vulnerability shining through the glow of her alien violite. You are mine, she whispered. Not as prey, but as someone I cannot let go. He smiled faintly, tired but victorious. Then perhaps humans aren't the only ones who survive, he said, his voice carrying warmth. In that moment, the trial, the survival, the night of fear, all of it culminated in a bond neither had anticipated. The human had endured, the princess had changed, and together they had rewritten the fate of two empires. The Deathworlder had not only lived, he had claimed something far greater than survival. He had claimed connection, respect, and perhaps even love, changing the course of a world that had never known humanity. The chamber of the night of hunger fell into an eerie silence as dawn still seemed distant, though hours had passed. Shadows twisted along the walls, and the air thickened with a scent that was sweet and metallic, like ozone and blooming alien flowers. Elias, bruised and bleeding, leaned against the living crystal wall, his mind racing. Each breath was a reminder of how fragile he was, yet he could feel the familiar pulse of humanity's stubborn will inside him. He would not break. The princess emerged from the shadows again, her glowing eyes fixed on him, each step deliberate, silent, predatory. You persist, she whispered, almost to herself, circling him like a dancer in a ritual of pain. You are different from all the others. Her fingers traced the air close to him without touching, stirring a shiver down his spine that was equal parts fear and fascination. I survive because I must, Elias replied, his voice firm though his body screamed for rest. Weakness is not an option for humans. We endure, or we die trying. Her expression softened slightly, a flicker of something he could not name passing through her alien features. Perhaps that is why you have lasted this long, and perhaps why I cannot simply destroy you now. She moved closer, her glow casting light across his bloodied face, revealing his exhaustion and determination in equal measure. He noticed for the first time the delicate patterns of biolight that ran across her skin, shifting like flowing rivers, highlighting her every movement. There was beauty in her, even in the predator's guise. And somewhere deep inside, he realized she was studying more than his body, she was studying his resolve, his heart, the fire that would not die. Suddenly, the chamber's floor shifted beneath him, crystal plates rising like teeth, and the shadows multiplied. Illusions of fallen allies, monstrous predators, and looming darkness pressed toward him from every angle. He staggered, nearly collapsing, but the thought of combat and unspoken tension grew, moments where her proximity made his heart pound, where her gaze lingered too long, where the boundary between predator and observer blurred. Hours bled into each other. Elias found moments to catch his breath, to study her. Despite her lethal grace, he could sense her curiosity, her respect growing. Why do you not falter? She asked finally, her voice softer than before, almost intimate. Because I endure, he said. Because giving up is worse than dying. And perhaps, because I recognize when strength meets strength. For the first time, her eyes shone with something warm, almost like admiration, a dangerous glint of emotion for a being of her kind. Her claws, usually poised to strike, hovered just above him, hesitant. The air between them seemed to pulse, thick with unspoken words, dangerous curiosity, and mutual recognition. Then, the final test approached. The chamber shifted violently, walls twisting, the biolight dimming and flashing in patterns meant to disorient. Illusions grew more vivid, showing Elias losing, failing, succumbing. The princess attacked with unprecedented speed, forcing him to dodge, block, and strike, his body screaming in pain, his lungs burning. Yet every time he almost fell, he forced himself up, remembered Earth, remembered humanity. At the brink of exhaustion, Elias staggered to one knee, leaning heavily against the jagged crystal floor. The princess stood before him, glowing in the dim light, her expression unreadable. "Yield," she whispered, her voice carrying both command and fascination. "Let me end it. Let the night be over." Elias lifted his head, blood running down his face, bruises marking every inch of him. He looked into her glowing eyes and whispered, "Pain does not break humans. It teaches us. It strengthens us. And it brings me to this moment, to survive, not for me, but for what comes next." The princess blinked, taken aback by his unwavering resolve. For a moment, there was silence, the air thick with tension, exhaustion, and something more, something neither of them had named. Then, with a subtle nod, she stepped back, lowering her claws. The illusions shattered. The chamber calmed. Light from Velara's twin suns pierced the ceiling, signaling dawn. The doors opened and the alien queen entered, her gaze sharp, her aura of authority filling the chamber. "Remarkable," she said, her voice carrying awe. "A human has survived the night of hunger. You have earned mercy." Courtiers whispered among themselves, shocked beyond belief. Before she could continue, the princess stepped forward, her stance firm, her glow bright. "No, mother. He has earned more than mercy. He has earned claim." Gasps echoed through the hall. Guards raised weapons, courtiers murmured in disbelief, but the princess's eyes never left Elias. "He faced me, endured me, survived. By law and trial, he is consort." The queen's fury radiated like heat from a star. "You dare," she demanded. "A human, an outsider." The princess lifted her chin, unwavering. "He is neither prey nor stranger. He is strength, courage, and survival incarnate. He is mine, and I claim him." Elias, still battered but standing, looked at her with a mixture of awe, exhaustion, and recognition. He could feel her study him, not as a predator studying prey, but as someone encountering an equal, a partner forged in survival and endurance. She touched his chest lightly, over the heart that had refused to break. "You are mine," she whispered, a soft, alien warmth in her voice. "Not as prey, but as something I cannot let go." Elias smiled faintly, a mixture of triumph and relief. "Then perhaps humans aren't the only ones who endure," he replied softly. In that moment, everything changed. The night of terror, the battle, the exhaustion, all culminated in a bond neither had anticipated. Humanity had survived. The princess had transformed. Together, they had rewritten the fate of their worlds. The Deathworlder had not only survived, he had claimed connection, respect, and perhaps even love, forever altering the course of an alien empire.